Hey, I'm Dean and this is Legacy Voyage. In Season 1, I'm documenting my journey to earning my first 100K net worth as a full-time college student. Join me as I share some of the lessons I learned along the way. The unexpected phone call that put me in my place. It had to be when I was in middle school. And man, back in the days, I really thought I was that guy. I was that dude. I mean, I thought I was him, the captain of the football team. Well, I wasn't even captain. I was just one of the better players on the football team. Middle linebacker on the defense, starting both ways. I thought I was amazing at football. But really, I wasn't even that good. It was just that I think the level of competition out there was not very good. Back then, I was in Oregon, and it's not really that good. But moving on, I was a leader of the football team. I was pretty decent at it, so I thought it was really good. And then in middle school, man, I was in the accelerated math class. So I thought I was a genius too, getting straight A's, leader of the football team, man. And I had to make sure that people know it. So whenever I would like meet new people, introduce myself, I made sure they knew that I was this and that and super good at football and really good at school, and I really wanted people to know that. So whenever possible, I would make sure to bring it up, because another thing that I had a chip on my shoulder for was that I was very young. Because in my grade, I'm very young for my grade. I have a very late, I guess it'd be an early birthday. A very early birthday. So when I think I had to be like 10 or 11, but everyone else around me was either a year or two older than me. So I was just that much better that I should be in the lower grade, but I'm over here in the higher age group with better football players, with smarter people, and I'm still being able to accelerate and surpass all these fools. So I thought I was so good and so smart and so all this and that. And then one day I'm just chilling, and then my mom hands me the phone, and on the phone is my cousin who's calling. And my cousin, he's like a year older than me, but he's in the same grade. And he's also pretty good, and he's also pretty smart. But I was like, I'm smarter and I'm better at football than you, so I want to make sure that you know that. So as I was talking, we were talking, going on and on and on. And we got to the point where we were talking about football. So I had to make sure I'm better than him at football. I was like, yo, Vi, did you know? Vi is his name, by the way. I was like, hey, Vi, did you know that I'm I'm the leader of the defense on football? I'm starting both ways. I'm probably going to be captain. I'm so good at football. Did you know that? And did you know this past week I went crazy? I got all these tackles and sacks and all these things. Did you know that, Vi? Because I'm so much better. I'm so much better than all these people over here. And I would just keep shoving it in his face over and over again. It was just accepted. He'd be like, "Okay, that's cool. Yeah, that's great for you, Dean. That's awesome for you, Dean. That's great." And then we kept talking on and on and on. And then we got to the point of school. And then I had to make sure he knew I was a smart genius in school. I was like, "Hey, did you know that I'm in the accelerated math class? So I'm in this extremely good math class. And not only that, but I'm getting straight A's. And not only that, but I literally, on the last test, I didn't even study for it at all. And then I actually did the best in the class for it. And I turned it in first. And I'm just a genius in math. And I'm just a super genius in school. So did you know that? Did you know I'm super smart too? And I had to make sure he knew that. And we're just talking and talking. And that's basically how most of my conversations went when I was young. I was a very very cocky little kid. I was just not humble at all, and that was something. Looking back, man, it was pretty bad, because I would just never stop bragging about myself. I would never stop making sure people know that I'm that guy. So fast forward this conversation, we end the call. I'm like, okay, just another call, just another day in sixth grade, seventh grade Dean's life, and then I think later, or a couple weeks later, not even a couple weeks, a couple days later, I find out from a Facebook post that my mom was telling me about. She was like, "Hey, Dean, look at this." And then I realized Vi is actually but he's actually quarterback. Not only is he quarterback, he's literally captain. And not only is he captain, he literally got MVP in this game. I was like, oh my goodness, this guy's actually super good at football. He actually might be better than me. And all, but his team also went to like the championships. My team's never was a champion. Man, we were some losers. I was always on the losing team as a kid. But this guy, he went to like the national championships for youth football. And I was like, oh, okay, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. But I was on the inside, I was like, man, I was doing all that bragging. I was telling him I was that guy, I was this dude, I was super smart. But then come to find out, he's actually really good at football. Not only is he really good, but he didn't even tell me. He didn't even have to tell me that he was this amazing football player. I found out from my mom. And that just really blew my mind because here I was bragging to him about all my accomplishments, everything that I was doing. And he was just taking it in. And he wasn't even saying anything. And it was at that moment where I was like, man, I have to humble myself. I cannot be bragging like this. I can't be telling everyone that I'm doing all these things. I cannot be bragging like that. Because later I also found out that he also had straight A's. And not only that, he was in an even more accelerated math class. So I think we were in 7th grade by then. As a 7th grade or 8th grade, something like that. Maybe it was 8th grade. But he was taking like sophomore math classes in high school. I was like, man, that's insane. And it was at that point where I realized I got to stop bragging about all these things that I'm doing. Which is the lesson from the story is that you gotta humble yourself. And that was the wake up call that humbled me to stop bragging about myself. And I don't think it's to say that because there's a balance. There's a balance between bragging, there's a balance between being humble. Because I was also talking with another friend and he was saying that it gets to a point where sometimes people are too humble, where they can't take a compliment, or they would straight up lie to make themselves look worse. Like for example, in high school, there were a bunch of tests where I literally got like 100% or 110% because there was some type of extra credit, and I would literally lie to people and say, "Oh yeah, I did pretty bad, and I was 110%." There's something dumb like that where I would just lie, or I would tell them that I got 90% when I actually got 100%, and it was weird because I would never be able to take a compliment and just move on. I'd always just try to beat around the bush and not and not take the compliment. And that's something that I also learned because there's this fine balance between bragging and being humble. And it's that balance that I've been trying to live, but I definitely fallen more into the bragging as of late because over the past trip where I went to Salt Lake for spring break, I was just bragging over and over again. I was holding my chin up high, looking down on people, being I was just being so what's the word? Condescending. I was being very condescending, and that was something that there's a good thing that I noticed it, but I definitely have to work on it more because I don't want to be looking down on people because that's just not good. But that was just one of the lessons I wanted to share today. Just to give a little update, I think, man, this past Sunday was Easter, and I went to church, and the people I met at church were insane. I met like three, maybe four different bankers, and they were all bankers at super big firms, and they each hold super high positions. And I went to visit the bishop's house. Bishop is like the pastor of the Mormon church, of a certain Mormon church in the local area. But I went to visit his house and it was actually ginormous. Like it was huge. I was like, man, he was a partner at PwC, which is one of the top. consulting firms or something like that. But it's pretty cool stuff. The connections that I was able to make. But there was another guy that I met. His name is Junior Tauva. I don't think I've talked about him on the podcast yet, but Junior Tauva, he works. No, I think I did actually. But he's basically the second in command at the company he's at. So he right now he is planning to take the role as a CEO. It's called PCMA. I don't really understand the company, but it's based over here. It's like the headquarters is like 40 minutes away from me, and he comes here every week or so. But he said that when he comes over, we should definitely connect up. So I got his number, and I'm just reaching out to him, trying to set that up. I'm really looking forward to that and meeting him in person. There was this really cool stuff. There's a couple really cool softwares that I discovered. The main one is Dex. It's something called DEX. Dex. It's incredible. It's like a personal CRM. CRM is like a customer relations manager, and it's just the contacts app on Apple. It's basically the contacts app like on crack. It's insanely amazing. It connects all of the person's contact info, all their social medias like their LinkedIn, Facebook, and it organizes all the info into one platform. And on the platform, I can keep track of the notes I make about the person, of different times when we connected, like through email and different events. And it's amazing. It also reminds me to check in on those people, depending on how many times I want to check in with that person, which is really cool. Because this entire time, at first I started on Google Sheets, keeping track of everyone through that. And then I moved on to Notion. Notion is a really cool software. And then Dex is amazing. It's like $12 a month. Highly recommend it. It's awesome. But there's Dex. Well, there's another software called Speechify, which basically just it it reads text. It's basically a text to speech software. So it'll just read something, but the cool thing about this is that it's like an AI speech thing. So it'll do it in a voice of a normal person. So it'll sound normal. One of the voices they have is Snoop Dogg. So I was literally listening to a philosophy paper that I had to read, and it was Snoop Dogg talking about all this stuff, and I thought it was super cool. So that's awesome. And then another thing I found is this podcast listening platform, which is way better than the Apple Podcasts app, the default app, but it's called Sniped or Snipped. But it's basically it's like another AI thing where if I'm listening to a podcast and I really like something that it says, I press this button, then it'll take that clip or that snip of the podcast and then save it to Notion, which is really cool. So if I'm ever listening or hearing to a super cool point or something that I want to refer back to in the future, I just press the button and then it cuts it up to just that segment of the podcast, and then it'll have like a whole transcript, a title, some takeaways from the audio, and it's awesome. And I've just been using that. And then something I learned recently, just today actually, from a podcast was that I gotta start training my listening muscles. So I'm starting to listen to things at 1.5 speed normally, like all the YouTube videos, all the podcasts, everything that I've been listening to. I'm trying to speed it up to 1.5, and then eventually I'll get it to like 3 or 4 times speed, where I can just be cranking through a whole bunch of stuff, because this is really how I'm learning how to learn. And if I can just take in all this information way faster than everyone else, then I think it'll just be super helpful in the future. And man, one more thing, one last thing that I want to say is that there's Coursera is a software. It's not even software. Well, I guess it is a software, but it's this website where people can come to it and learn new courses and stuff. And you can register for courses. It usually costs like 50 something bucks a month. But through Northwestern, there are some Northwestern courses that I can take which are completely free with my email, which is awesome. so I can take those courses for free, and that's amazing. And there's a sales course that I'm working through right now. Hopefully, I'll get that done because there's another marketing course that I'm still trying to get done. But it's moving and grooving for sure. I'm just out here trying to learn and learn and learn some more. But that's everything I wanted to touch on in this podcast. I'll see you in the next one. Talk to you.